Welcome back, everyone. You've seen so much Shield Wall lately, so I thought I would mix it up a bit with some Cossacks 3. I guess you haven't seen this since the ones of you who saw me reviewing News of the World, the movie starring Tom Hanks, among others, of course. But now we're gonna be back in a full-fledged Cossacks 3 game, and I will be playing as Scotland. And I will be fighting England. We can call it the battle for Scottish independence or something. Of course, Cossacks 3 takes place in two different centuries. The first part of the game will always be in the 17th century, and then eventually you will be able to upgrade your way to the 18th century. But that's only an option for some factions. Scotland, for example, does not have the option of upgrading to the 18th century, which means that they will be missing out on 18th century barracks and also the upgrade to view the whole map. So really important when playing as Scotland is that I have to capture English peasants, or especially during this round, of course, but to capture another opponent's peasants. So then I will be able to. The upgrades and buildings in the beginning requires food. And as you can see, there's a big shadow all over the map. So first I need to do some reconnaissance. So as soon as I can afford it, I will be recruiting a couple of Covenanter pikemen. These are so cool. Of course, these are unique units for the Scottish faction. Basically all factions or nations have some kind of unique unit or building. Of course, all of them have unique buildings, but only the most of them have unique units as well. So first I need to see where my opponent is camped out, and in order to get that information, I'm sending one pikeman to each of the corners of the map, because the opponent will not be in the center of the map or in any of these areas, but it will be to the very far right, or to the northeast, or to the southeast, or to the very south. So first I need to know where the potential attacks will be coming from, and then I will be able to defend myself more properly. A really important thing is also to be able to get my second town hall as quickly as possible. So now I'm a bit conflicted as to whether I should. As you can see, I'm quite far behind the computer, but I will need to shape up my economy first. And now I'm actually able to build a second town hall. Of course, one of the most important things in the beginning is to get a hold of your economy as soon as possible, and you get that by basically being the one who produces the most peasants. But now that I have the second town hall coming, I can build my market finally, and also I can build mines without needing to worry about losing too much of the lumber resource. And I also just realized that if I press Ctrl P, which is what I do to mark all of my idle peasants, I also pause my recording. So I'm sorry for you missing a couple of a minute or so of my ranting, but hopefully it will make up for it later down the line. I do not like that the peasants are walking all that way in order to in order to leave the food. So now set the rally point to the other side of the mill, so they will start from there and then they will leave the food in the mill instead. Neither of my pikemen so far has stumbled upon the stumbled upon the computer. So could it be that the English are all the way down to the southeast? I really hope they're not over here, because I just found some really cool mines that I want to use. So I'm gonna have my pikemen standing right by the mine, so I'll know where they are. And now we got the second town hall finally. So I'll be sending all of the peasants from this one to the to go straight to the stone, because stone is one of the most important resources to get a steady income from, because the lumber, you chop down the trees and then they're gone, but the stone will always be there, and it's a pretty reasonable price if you sell it. So basically you can see stone as your second-hand resource of basically any other resource. And so far, still the troops doesn't seem to have stumbled upon the computer opponent. But here they are. Look at that. So now I know they're down there, which means that either of these places, of course, if I put mines there, there would be a risk, of course, with them being attacked. But I need to get a good hold of my soldier production. So at least now we know where my opponents are. And if you look at the points, I'm starting to catch up. The second town hall did a lot of good for me. Just having the peasants collecting as much resources as possible. And now I got a lot of them coming from the food, and as you can see, I'm not really short on food right now. I would, however, like to find my other mines. So there they are. Unfortunately, I have both of my gold mines at the very front of my base, so I will need to push my defensive line very far, so these are not bombarded by mortars all the time, which unfortunately they most likely will. So that's unfortunate, but you can't always get the best opportunities, of course. So now we can get into upgrades, and I'm actually gonna dive straight into wood cutting efficiency. So this will double my income of wood and lumber, which will be really useful for building stables and other buildings that are really heavy on lumber. I might have been a bit too generous when it comes to sending all of my peasants off to build or to collect resources. But soon these guys, now they're able to go back to collecting food. And Scotland is really fortunate in the sense that the raiders, they don't have any good armor or anything like that, but they are very fast, very, very fast, so you can use them for harassment, which you'll really need. Because being Scotland, like I said, you don't have access to the 18th century without stealing it from another, without capturing peasants from another civilization that has access to the 18th century. So that of course means that I will need to be very mobile and very fast in capturing their peasants and raiding their village. And now they killed my my beloved pikemen, So in order to get a clear line as to where they will attack and where they will be throughout this attack, I'm sending some of my pikemen out for basically reconnaissance. There, I won't have them as kind of a line of defense, but rather just in order to be able to see where my enemy is and when I can expect them to come to my base. Now I'm building the diplomatic center. Of course, that is a crucial building in order to get to the 18th century. I'm building it in order to get access to sheep troops if I really need them. Of course, diplomatic centers and troops from the diplomatic center doesn't cost any food or iron or anything, but it does cost gold, and the cost for the troops increases of how many depending on how many troops you recruit. So basically you get a weaker type of 18th century grenadier and Austrian roundshears and siege Cossacks, which of course are really important for harassments, etc, etc. But I know that I also need more peasants. I just need more peasants in order to get my economy going. But I mean, it will always be a process. But I'm gonna try to send some of my peasants away to build more mines to see how that goes. And of course my opponents will come in a formation which will give them better armor and better attacks. And I need to build an officer and a bagpiper in order to create formations for my troops. The bagpipers, of course, because it's Scotland. Super cool. Super cool. As soon as we get some more peasants available, I will be sending them to a resource, because so far we don't have that much more to build. We can't afford a second barracks yet, but as soon as we can, I really intend to build it, because there we have their army. So you can see it was really good that I sent them along. Really clever of me, patting myself on the back. The castle is a Scottish unique building that you get instead of being able to build 18th century barracks. But it's not really a fair substitute, I think, because the castle can only produce like sword clansmen, clan swordsmen, and clan bowmen. Which are really weak units, but the clan swordsmen are really fast and very mobile. They run instead of walking, so they are really useful when trying to capture mines and things like that. Very useful. Very useful. I think I just spent way too much of my gold on building that stable. Yeah, that was unfortunate, because I would have used that gold to create a second barrack. But hey, we all make mistakes. Constantly pretty low on food. Which of course is not a good thing, because that will hold all of my production of soldiers, but also peasants. But the guys are going back to it, that's good. That was not my plan for the raiders. Fortunately, I only lost 2 of them, but I want to use them to capture mines and peasants, etc. Because I need to get access to English peasants, like I did right there. So now I'm gonna send these peasants out, and then I will be building a second civilization within my base, and this is really good, really good. I'm gonna set them to build it, and then I'll just destroy that building, because now I'll get double production of peasants, double production of soldiers, and I will get the availability to 18th century, which will mean 18th century barracks, 18th century cavalry, etc, etc, etc. So really good, really, really good. And that's why being mobile in this game is so important, because that will give you the ability to harass your opponent's economy. And if you starve out your opponent, if you starve them out, you'll win. So much of this game has to do with getting the upper hand when it comes to resources and things like that. Like most strategy games, I guess. Got a line of 72. Now their information, the Covenanter pikemen. They're so cool. They're very light though, they don't have that much armor, as a difference from the English pikemen. But I still think they look so cool. And look at the bagpiper right there. He's not playing right now though, but I know, I don't think you could hear it. You can't hear it even if it did, I guess. But we're going hard on the gold production. And also we're gonna set one of the barracks to produce musketeers. Because I think I learned this from, I don't know which game generally I learned it from, but basically I want the pikemen to be heavy on armor so they can soak up a lot of damage, and then I want my ranged units, like my musketeers, to be heavy on the firing power, so they can so they deal more damage, while the pikemen are soaking up more damage instead. And now we got another squad of a couple of raiders, and this will be enough to take over one mine basically. So this is really good. Now I'm gonna pinch them from the other side, and I think as long as I keep attacking their base, they're not gonna send any bigger amount of troops towards mine. And that's good, of course, but now we see a mine right there, and I'm gonna destroy it. Of course, it doesn't always get captured. Sometimes it goes like that. And that of course deals major damage to my raiders. But fortunately they're quite cheap, quite cost effective, so that's good of course. And now I have 2 town halls available for British peasants, and that is awesome. Now I'm gonna build my first castle in order to get the clansmen, the clan swordsmen, and either way, because like I said, they're really fast, so they're very useful. Either, but you don't want to use them in any open confrontation, because like I said, they're so weak, unfortunately. But of course, if they were fast, while also if they were strong, and while they were being fast, of course, that would be a bit overkill. So now we can start building our British settlement right up here. And I also realized that I need to spread out my troops a bit more, because if they come with fast cavalry like I'm doing against them, then I won't really have anything to set up against them. And then they will be able to capture my peasants, and then I will have a really bad time, because then they will be doubling on everything as well, just like I'm doing right now. But I am getting somewhere with my production. And if you look at that, yeah, I do not want my raiders in open conflict against a bunch of pikemen. Not at all. I don't think they have a chance against those pikemen though. No, they got brought down, unfortunately. But I do have another group of raiders, and I will just keep this pressure on them while upgrading them at the same time, of course, because I don't want them to be too squishy. And my British settlement is coming along quite well down here. And I'll be upgrading those troops as well, of course. I'm really looking forward to when I have an 18th century barracks, or preferably a couple of them, of course. As soon as I see a stone mine, I intend to start mining stone or collecting stone right away. I will be sending a bunch of I'll be sending off a bunch of my Scottish peasants from this stone mine, because both of my British town halls are collecting from that mine. From that stone collection rather. But I can send them to start working on that one. And soon I will want to build my second barrack. But there are so many buildings that I need to build in order to get to the 18th century. Like all of these buildings basically I need to build. Except mine and dwelling, I guess. And I'll also want to buy this upgrade as soon as I can, which I can now, and that will double my income of stone, which of course will make me able to sell more stone and get more gold, and basically get a bigger swing on my entire economy using that upgrade. And now I got my sword clansmen, yeah. And here they are coming with mercenaries, grenadier mercenaries. So these are quite weak if you compare them to the 18th century grenadiers, which is really fortunate for me. And eventually, of course, I will be getting my 18th century grenadiers from my British civilization. I look forward to that a lot. And then I will have a good day, basically. As long as I don't let England get too comfortable. So far, they are not creating that big armies for some reason. Like, as you can see, I'm playing against a very hard computer, and I'm very much in the lead right now. But I'm gonna take credit for that. See how many of these peasants can I capture or kill. Look at that. I am such a plague for them right now. I'm such a plague. But look at that. Here they have siege Cossacks from the diplomatic center. You can tell us it says that they're mercenaries, and these are really quick, really quick. And yeah, they're basically a diplomatic center version of my raiders. It's a Ukrainian unit generally, and you can't, like I said, you can't upgrade units in the diplomatic center, so they're quite weak to begin with. But if you have them as Ukraine, they will be quite a nuisance. Ukraine is one of the stronger factions in the game. However, I'm not that fond of them because they don't have any close combat infantry if you don't produce them from the diplomatic center. And that bugs me out quite a lot. Because they only have long range, and that will leave them very vulnerable for cavalry attack and such. Now I need to sell some stone to get some gold, and that will give me the ability to upgrade my stone mines or my gold mines, which is really important because I need the money. My next upgrade that I'm going to be looking for is this one, in order to decrease the recruitment time for my cavalry, which will be really important in order for me to just push out more of the raiders. Wow, they are really starting to get somewhere with their army, which of course makes me a bit nervous. But fortunately, I'm not completely undefended. I have a frame gun and I have a couple of pikemen. And now I have some sword clansmen as well, and I will be sending them around just like I do with the raiders, in order to deal as much damage as I can to their economy. To keep them under constant pressure. And every time I attack their base, their main army is gonna pull back. They're gonna pull back from my position. Which might also be a reason, of course, as to why I haven't been attacked yet, which I find really weird. But like I said, every time I attack their main base, they're gonna pull back their attack on me. So if I keep attacking them, they're gonna keep pulling back. It's really important that I don't keep too many of my peasants idle. That's something I learned from playing Age of Empires, I guess. That the player who has most peasants idle is the one who loses, and I don't think the computer ever has idle peasants. Look at that. What do I need? I need more gold, so I'm gonna sell more stone to get me the gold. And now we're gonna have quicker cavalry. And also, this upgrade is really good for Scotland, because it's gonna give more attack to my sword clansmen as well. So that's really good. I don't know if it's true or not, but I really want to finish up with the barracks and stable upgrades first before I go on upgrades on into upgrades on the academy regarding my soldiers, because the upgrades stack. So the more of these that I have upgraded and done, the better the upgrades from the academy will stack. I don't know if it's true, but I don't want to risk it. And there we have a bunch of their Siege Cossacks attacking my economy, which makes me believe that I might want to send more troops down here. So I'm gonna send all of these raiders first of all. I will be sending to that place for so hopefully the Siege Cossacks are still there. And I will be able to take them by surprise while my clansmen are attacking their base. Look at them, they're so fast and so orange and blue. Really cool though. Imagine in the 17th century running around with a sword and shield while others are running around with like cannons and muskets and things like that. You're probably feeling pretty underpowered. Is that a word? Yeah. At least you're not feeling too powerful in that moment. But I'll actually start to build an English civilization down here. That might be a really bad idea, but soon we're in the 18th century, and then I will be building 18th century barracks down there. So look at that. First, we're gonna claim their. First of all, we're gonna claim their mine, and we're also gonna try to attack that artillery depot and destroy that one, because the artillery is what turns your hair gray, basically. They do so much, they destroy so much, and it's so easy for the AI to just rebuild. So I'll try to do as much damage as I can to their artillery. But I do have a couple of legions right here. Really cool formations, and they're gonna walk across the whole map and attack their base, because I constantly want them to be under pressure. And as you can see up here, my living space is starting to run out as well, which I do not want, of course. So I need to use my can happen. So I want to use my troops to the best of my abilities, I guess. Instead of them just standing there, I want them to kill something or destroy something. So yeah, I got all these raiders over here, but the Cossacks either way got into my base. But fortunately, they didn't capture that much, and I guess I managed to kill all of the peasants. So I got out all right from that. Need more food and more coal in order to get to the 18th century. Of course, I'll be prioritizing that. So I'm selling some stone, and now we're off to the 18th century. And I can afford an 18th century barrack, so I'll be building that down here. And then we start going on the English settlement down here. So I will have 2 cities producing for me. I will also need more gold, because this upgrade will give me the ability to see the whole map. And if I see the whole map, no way I will be surprised yet again by one of their Sich Cossacks attacks. And there we go. Fortunately, they don't have any other troops out on the map. They still have their 17th century army right here. But they also have a couple of mines, which are really easy pickings for me. If the enemy doesn't have any coal or iron, they won't be able to fire their guns. And if you look at that, this recording is already half an hour, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we're actually gonna pause it right there. And to wrap it up, so far we're in the 18th century with our English part of the civilization, but of course we're playing as Scotland. We're able to capture a couple of peasants from the English civilization in order to make ourselves stronger. And so far we're quite in the lead. We've been keeping the pressure really tight on England. And that's it for this round. I'll see you when I've finished recording the other part of the game and see how long it takes. But this was a really solid start. And thank you for staying with me, and I'll see you in the next one.